Hello and welcome into another episode of the Dig in Denver podcast, a podcast for the people, by the people. I am your host, Derek Bettis, for the evening. You can always find me on Twitter at DigginDerek, and make sure to go follow the squad's handle at DigginDenver. Make sure to go over on Instagram and follow us there for some good content and news about anything we're dropping as far as on the site goes. You're also going to want to go ahead and make it on over to www.diggindenver.com to go check out all of our content. Tonight's podcast is going to be over the Nuggets win 127-124 of the Oklahoma City Thunder in a nationally televised game that was fantastic. Just an exponentially great game played by both teams. And actually, it was a shootout down late in the fourth. Lots of high energy, lots of excitement. You might be able to tell from my excitement this evening. This is definitely going to be the funnest podcast I've had in quite a while. Just a stellar game and performance. So we're going to get into that. Lots of storylines tonight. Before we go over those, let's go ahead and thank our sponsors for the show. Today's show is sponsored by Red Wing Shoes down in Greeley, Colorado. Family owned and operated for over 40 years. With some of the best selection in safety footwear, non-safety footwear, and casual around. And make sure to mention that you heard this podcast and receive an additional 10% off. All you got to say is Derek from Dig in Denver sent you on down, and those boys will be happy to get you taken care of with some great footwear needs. Customer service comes first, followed by always providing and producing some of the highest quality and best longest lasting footwear around. Make sure to head on over to Red Wing Shoes in Greeley, Colorado. Red Wing Shoes, work is our work. Big shout out to our sponsor for the show tonight, Red Wing Shoes down in Greeley. We definitely do appreciate it, guys. So, like I said, lots of interesting stuff to get into tonight. The three-point shooting was absolutely fire for most of the game, mostly through three quarters, predominantly in the first half, though. The Nuggets were just lights out. Nikola Jokic got his third triple-double of the season. Murray led the team with a hot hand shooting all over the place, up and down. Got it on the inside, got on the outside, got it to go into the hole, north and south. The kid really had it working tonight. Seeing his growth continue to grow up and his stock continue to rise is just fascinating to see. Of course, the Nuggets had a bunch of even distribution scoring tonight, though, with 4 Nuggets in triple figures, 3 of those being above 24 points. So just a phenomenally spread game as far as the offense goes. It was working tonight, predominantly going through Nikola Jokic for most of the game. They hit a dry spout in the third quarter that led to a little bit of lulling there, and when they did that, they were getting away from Nikola initiating the offense. Definitely did a good job through the most of the game, though, of initiating that through the Joker. And tonight, of course, was Gary effing Sparty Harris with that beautiful shot on Paul George, who is absolutely fire tonight as well. Just phenomenal. A moral boost, moral victory to get back on that win. Got a little bit sketchy, very close to being a 5-second call on there. Nikola Jokic was able to sling it across the court, get it to Gary Harris. We're going to get into all that and much more here in a second. So without further ado, ladies and gentlemen, let's dig in. Alrighty, ladies and gentlemen, welcome into another episode of the Dig in Denver podcast. Happy to be broadcasting live from the basement tonight from you guys. And we're going to hop right into it. Nikola Jokic with his third triple-double of the season just had a fantastic performance all game long. It was fun to watch it on a nationally televised game, watch Chuck and the boys talk about it. The Nuggets picked a perfect time to debut the new city jerseys, something that we've seen for quite a few weeks now. About a month now that we've seen these jerseys be out, and definitely liked them from the get-go. Liked them the most out of all the other releases that the Nuggets and Nikes put out for this season. My second favorite jersey is probably going to be the yellow skyline behind there. I just like that one a lot in general. Not in love with the navy, the dark blue. I call it the Western Union blue jerseys. Not in love with that one, but this one for sure, the city edition, is by far the nicest. It was very obvious that those shorts were sick from the get-go, but seeing them on the court paired with that jersey running around, I actually truly enjoy those jerseys. I don't know how you guys feel about it. Make sure to go hit me up on Twitter at DigginDerek. Let me know how you guys felt about it. Put a little poll out. I thought those uniforms were fire, though. Really enjoyed them and how they looked on the court too. So that was pretty cool to see. But definitely giving Nikola just tons of props in there. Really, really recognizing this team, and it's easy to see when they play the way they do. This is important because when we're able to get on nationally televised games and not only have a great showing, but really have a awesome game for the fans to really get enthralled with, it's engaging for the fans, not only of Nuggets Nation, but nationally as well. I was sitting there talking to my wife during the game, and I said, these are the moments that got stressful towards the end, no doubt. But, I said, these are the games that, and in this moment, this is what we kind of live for as basketball fans, right? That flood of emotions. You're nervous, you're anxious, you're excited. You're guessing on what's going to be happening. You're caught up and you're wrapped in the moment. When you can get wrapped into the moment in a game like this, on a high stakes game, in conference rival, somebody who we're constantly playing with to make it into the playoffs, it's just captivating. There's something about having such a close and such a great game that makes it fun to watch. And so to be able to produce on this and our young players really lead the way with Jamal Murray, Nikola Jokic, and Gary Harris at the end there. Way to go, Sparty, by the way. But when you're able to get your young players to come out and play this way with a lot of attitude and show that gusto against a what you would call a veteran team, and Carmelo Anthony, Paul George, Westbrook, Steven Adams. And so there's just a ton of vets on this team. So to have a young squad come out, play good, close out the end of the game, even though some late struggles and the veteran team caught fire towards the end, it really, really does a lot for this fan base. It's exciting to stand behind, especially, I go on NBA stats very close to after the game. After I got done watching it, I was far behind, didn't start the game till late, but the first thing on there was the Nuggets win. Chuck and the boys were even talking about how fun of a game it really was. The energy was ecstatic from the beginning. The fans were into it. The players were into it. You can tell it was going to be a high stakes game, and they did not disappoint. So that was really nice to see, as far as being able to come produce a great quality game to watch, and then as well show all the fans that were able to show up tonight to the Nuggets game how exciting this team can be. It's nice to get back on the win after a couple of really, really tough losses that I saw a lot of positive things were, and a lot of those carried over into this game. The only difference, we were able to finish at the end. We'll get into a little bit more about that too later on in the pod. So we just want to go ahead and break right into it, talk a little bit about the quarters, and then some things that we saw during it. Right, like I said, straight from the get-go in that first quarter, you could tell it was going to be a high-energy game. Lots of motion and energy from the players. The crowd was into it. It just had that vibe, that energy reading off of the court. And it carried out throughout the entire game. Lots of back and forth. Nuggets led for the whole entire time. It wasn't until the fourth quarter where there was finally the first tie of the game. And so all game long is back and forth. The Nuggets led, had a good showing, but OKC did not back down. Of course, as a veteran team would, comes back firing in the fourth. But in that first, it was a lot of 3-point shooting, which was the separator in tonight's game. Gary Harris came out firing, 17 points per game, leading the Nuggets in points per game. Came out with the first 5 shots right in a row, really just hitting them nicely, getting in rhythm early, which led to finishing at the end tonight. And in fact, there was multiple times throughout the game where Gary Harris was really just in rhythm and attacking the basket. Wasn't able to finish some of his nice trickery shots that he can around the rim, but was able to really contribute in a lot of ways. Gary Harris on the night ended up in 37 minutes, gathered 25 points, 3 assists, 3 rebounds, shot 9 for 16 from the field. Even had a steal in there as well early in the first quarter. 100% from the free throw line with just 1 attempt, ended with a -1, but it doesn't matter at all if you just factor into the fact that he hit that last game, positive 20. It was just a fantastic showing for Gary Harris all game long. Definitely had it going for early in the beginning. Will Barton came out hot as well. Was 2 for 2 from the 3 right away and continued to contribute. This was a big game for Will Barton. I think in the NBA, the life cycle is very short. So what I'm talking about is the love and the hate for the team. When the team's playing good on tonight, it's going to be a lot of high energy. We're going to dump a couple to some teams. Undoubtedly, this is a tough stretch. Maybe we'll string together some, but either way, come a loss to a disappointing team, and there'll be a bunch of people fall off again and just so depressed and so sad about this team. In those moments, as I always tell you guys, make sure to keep your heads up. This is a fun time and a fun process to be watching these guys. It's disappointing, of course, but especially like these last 2 games, there's a lot of critics, a lot of people, and even I as well, can see and it can validate those complaints about the Nuggets, the questionable calls at the end, the players taking shots, whatever it may have you. this team is fun to watch, and it's part of the process as a young team. It's going to happen. So, try not to ride the highs too high and the lows too low, but it's great to see them come out and play like they did tonight. And speaking about tonight, I thought the Nuggets did a fantastic job on the defensive end in guarding Westbrook early. Really didn't allow him to get his shots going. I believe the Nuggets blocked him either 4 or 5 times, 2 blocks early in the first quarter. And that he wasn't able to get going. He kept getting his shots blocked throughout the game. Nuggets did a fantastic job, like I said, of not allowing him to get into rhythm. And it seemed like it appeared like he was almost trying to keep up with Murray or trying to show out. Definitely not intimidated by Murray at all in general, but really wasn't able to get a shot going. I thought the Nuggets did a fantastic job. In the past, Nuggets have been cut up and sliced by the point guards, high caliber shooting point guards. And so it was really nice to see them have focus on them. Paul George was unstoppable tonight, kept them in there, hit that dagger at the end that tied up the game. But if you're able to cut off Russell Westbrook, who I think is a lot more lethal in his ability to, one, score, get hot, hit those last-minute shots in the game, and contribute to his teammates because he's so lethal when he's attacking the rim, I would much rather have it the way it was tonight. Paul George is a fantastic player, but Russell Westbrook can hurt you in so many ways than just scoring. Will Barton, after just coming off of supposedly a minute restriction games when he almost had like 40 minutes or did have 40 minutes. But either way, tonight he ended up with 35 minutes, had 15 points, 4 assists, 6 rebounds, 6 from 11 from the field, a block, a steal, 3 for 7 from the 3-point, and ended with the positive 9 on tonight's game. I was very interested to see how he's going to complain after the critics. There was a lot of Barton hate coming from Twitter, especially, I'm sure all over the platforms, but definitely saw it. Nuggets fans were ticked when he took that last second shot while in both games. He actually said out a tweet, things get tough, you get tougher. And so it's interesting to see how he came out tonight. I was wondering what the play was going to be like, what the style was going to be like. And undoubtedly, Barton does Barton things where he may force up a shot or two. But there's also a few shots where typically he drives in, gets caught up in the air, and is still going to force a shot, but passed out. One that comes to mind specifically is when he passed it out to Emmanuel Mudiay at the top when he was going up against Steven Adams. Steven Adams met him in the air. And instead of forcing the shot like he would typically do and get blocked or whatever, he was able to pass it out. And it wasn't just that point tonight. There was multiple times during the game where Will Barton was looking to be unselfish. And you can see that in his stat line, 6 rebounds and 4 assists. He was definitely looking for his team tonight. And I prefer this Will Barton over the scoring Will Barton any time of the day. It's a lot more contributing, and it's really when he can use his skill set to score within the flow and motion of this offense is when he's the best. Not when he's having 40 points, not when he's going one-on-one and isolating players and getting buckets and dunking on people, shaking and baking. It's really when he's able to apply his specific skill set that not a lot of other players on the Nuggets team have into this offense. And tonight I thought was an excellent showing of that. When he has his games, when he's looking for his assists and looking for his team, he just helps this team elevate to another level where they're even more dangerous. Nikola Jokic and Jamal Murray were really fun in the first, had a ton of connections on there. Nikola Jokic was all over with the assist. He led this team tonight, started the offense flowing, which actually happened in the last 2 games. The last 2 games, while heartbreakers, there is some pretty solid defense being played, as well as the assists from Nikola and playing through them. If you listen to my last podcast, gave kudos to Coach on sticking true to that Nikola offense. And in this one, it was no different. Once they got rolling and everyone was hitting, if it wasn't the first option, it was the second option to get Nikola the ball immediately. If the Nuggets aren't doing that, aren't coming down and giving it to Nikola right away, 70 to 80% of the time, they're doing something wrong. You see what happens when he gets that ball. So many teams are starting to understand the play of this kid and his special ability as a passing big to really initiate this offense. When he gets the ball, the entire defense locks down because they know something's coming. It's a flurry of punches. It's so many different scorers being open, and you have to respect him. During the half, Kenny went on over to the board and showed a perfect example where you have to respect Nikola's 3-point shot. Gets Steven up in the air, goes in for a nice little take. And that wasn't the first time either. There was a time where he read that wide open from the top, took it in, blew right past Adams, and then finished strong. In a very rare case of Nikola Jokic dunking on the team, he was all over the place. But that happens when you're able to get this kid the ball. When you can get this kid the ball, this this team is just a whole nother level. So fantastic job for them. Murray is the perfect point guard for this team when you can do that with Nikola, when you can initiate the offense and get Murray, let him do what he's able to do. Reggie mentioned it during the game as well, that Murray isn't going to be your setup point guard. He's not going to be the one that reads the offense, spreads people thin, and really takes advantage of mismatches, gets people in the right opportunity, facilitates the ball. That's not Murray's game as of right now. Can it elevate to that? Sure, definitely. He's a smart kid and he has a hard work ethic. But where he's already good at, what he already excels at, is his ability to score from the floor. His ability to read a defense and take advantage of the mismatch he may have, or his ability to hit shots, his confidence is one of his biggest traits. He's never scared of the moment. He's never scared to take the shot. And we've seen this with Jamal Murray developing in the last several games. He's starting to hit these big shots. It was no different tonight. We'll get into a little bit more of that. But he's really starting to strive and show his ability late down in the game. And so he's just a perfect point guard when Nikola can facilitate the offense 100%, and he doesn't have to worry about, Jamal initiating it. He can get to his spots to hit his shots. He can roll off of screens. He can go start, DHOs and initiate that. It's just so much better when you're in that position. Murray is a fantastic fit for this team at the point guard position. On the night, in 34 minutes, the kid ended up with 33 points, 5 assists, 3 rebounds, shot 14 for 23 from the field, 5 for 8 from the three-point line, was absolutely lit from the three-point line, and ended with a positive 3. Murray is starting to play like a grown man. He's been hitting these strides. Something that many of the media members have been reporting on is seeing this young man continue to hit strides. A while ago at the beginning of the year, I said he may be comparable to like a Damian Lillard with his upside. He may be getting past that. Let's not get it mistaken, not get too crazy or carried away, but the way that this kid is able to score, he's a Swiss Army knife, and his ability to drive and penetrate, finish on bigger defenders like he did multiple times down the stretch on Steven Adams. He's able to do his step back, hit his dagger, hit those tough Steph Curry type shots. Don't love the Steph Curry comparisons, but just the level of difficulty in the shots that he's able to hit is amazing for a 20-year-old kid who's just starting to hit his stride. His ceiling is being raised by the game, and it's no telling where this kid can go. All-star potential? Possibly. Leader of this team? Possibly. But the great thing about it is that he is so young and that we don't know where he's going. Enjoy the ride, Nuggets fan. Please, if you do anything at all throughout the rest of the time, enjoy this ride. This is fun to watch. This is homegrown talent. A while back, somebody and I from the Denver Stiffs had a conversation about LeBron James was coming in, and I said, I don't love this. I'm a LeBron James fan, and I don't love this. I understand. One of the responses was he's a top 5 player of all time, and a ton of people, of course, agreed with him. Just recently, it came out that LeBron James is considering taking calls from Golden State Warriors, and I said, you know what? The reason why I don't love this is it feels like a Kardashian move. Not in the fact, LeBron James is 100 times more classier than the Kardashians, whatever. Get past that fact, but the fact of it feels like a sellout move, right? It feels like Kevin Durant going to Golden State. Now LeBron James wants to go to Golden State. I want homegrown talent. This team means so much to me, and I think so much to the true Denver Nuggets diehard community because it's homegrown talent. A long-term win or possibility of being a great team means so much more to me, and I know a lot of other Nuggets fans, or maybe not. Maybe I'm alone on this one. I know me and Logan feel the same way. But we'd much rather have a possibly long-term successful team as opposed to buying LeBron James and being short-term great now. LeBron James is a generational player. We may never see somebody like that in our lifetime. I might be an old man before we get to see another LeBron James-esque player, another person who's in that conversation, even in that stratosphere again. However, that unfazes me. I want these young kids who we've drafted, who we've built from the ground up with our culture and this type of play that we have. This is the fun basketball that I personally enjoy watching and why I resonate so much with this team. Moving on, though. In that first, Nikola Jokic had 12 points, 4 rebounds, 6 freaking assists in that first quarter. and his plus negative for it just had to be out the roof. I thought he played some pretty good defense. There's a couple times where there is some offensive. Paul George uses that arm a little bit too friendly, doesn't get called for it. He's a great player, so he's not going to get those calls most of the time. But that boy likes to use that form. He got called for it down the stretch with the transaction towards the end, where they finally started getting a little bit tighter on those offensive foul calls, because there was a lot of forearm being used and not being called, especially early. But he had a heck of a game all around. Nuggets went up 14-21 on an 8-0 run late with that Jokic dunk, ending in Billy Donovan having to call that timeout. And so that was funny. We haven't had a call timeout from a Nikola Jokic dunk, maybe possibly ever in this Nuggets era. So that was fun to see. It was great to see that the offense was able to get going. Like I said, when you go through there, it doesn't matter who we play. This team is going to come out rolling. OKC is a top 5 defensive team. In fact, they're the 4th in defensive rating at 103.2 in their defensive rating. So they're a top tier team, and this Nuggets team was able to get it rolling quick from the beginning. Love that. Nuggets ended with 40 points in the quarter. I believe the second best in the season. I haven't double checked on that one, but definitely high up there. Ended with 40 points. We're just all out balling. Oklahoma City was able to stay with it though. Ended with 33 in the quarter as well. So there's definitely a shootout all game long, especially in the first, the third, and then for Oklahoma City in the fourth. So it was a heck of a game to watch. In the second, Kenneth Faried, Trey Lyles, and Emmanuel Mudiay got that start in the second unit. He was playing well. His play from the San Antonio Spurs game really crossed over into this game. He was taking it to it, finishing strong. Had his Emmanuel Mudiay times where, like I said, he ends up on the ground, but finished strong. Had a couple nice little shots around there. Had that beautiful little Euro step on Raymond Felton. Maybe got away with a little bit of a travel. We're not going to talk about that. We're just going to take it. It was a nice play either way. So to see him playing strong and contributing in those minutes, great to see.
Smith and Wesson in the joint one time. Pulling the coast to this newness in 94. You know what I'm saying? Lock your doors, nobody's safe. You know what I'm saying? Check it out. I walk around town with the pound strapped down.
Kenneth Faried is one of the bigger conversations that me and a couple of my buddies been having lately. And it's surprising because Logan and I tend to agree maybe too much on a lot of different subjects. And one of our other buddies, Dylan, he's a contrarian, right? It's always a great conversation, lots of butting of heads when we have the conversation with three of us. But his belief right now is that Kenneth Faried is much better than Mason Plumlee. His points are valid in some facts that Kenneth Faried is definitely going to be the higher energy guy. Mason Plumlee can do that too, play the short corner, but Kenneth's that cleanup guy, and you see it right away in the beginning. In this game, I thought he played great. I was surprised to see how Coach broke up his minutes. He played early in the first half and didn't play again until late in the second half of the game. So I thought that was an interesting way to break it up, especially on the team. I understand because the Nuggets lineup and the team working the rotations were working well. I thought Malone and coaching staff did a great job on that tonight. But it was just interesting to see how Kenneth once again found his way out of this team. There is one thing that all three of us, Dylan, Logan, and I, all agree on, is that Kenneth Faried is being paid way too much just to be sitting down on the bench. Right now, especially with Paul Millsap out, and then especially with Mason Plumlee out, Kenneth Faried could be being utilized a little bit more in there. I agree with that take as well. However, my stance is that Mason Plumlee should be getting the starting role over Kenneth Faried. Kenneth Faried should be getting minutes, but only if it's no cost to Trey Lyles. Trey Lyles cannot be suffering playing time because of that. He's been having a fantastic game, and long-term wise, Trey Lyles obviously going to be the guy over a Kenneth Faried. And although you may think that this is the year where he may actually go, the gross underestimation of how many teams can actually use him or want Kenneth Faried on the contract that he's on is really what's, I think, keeping him here. Unfortunately, the circumstances have lost control in how they've managed Kenneth Faried. His stock value has plummeted. We're paying him way too much. We didn't trade him at the proper time when we could have, when his stock value was the highest, and now we're kind of stuck with him on the team. And by no means is that a critique on Kenneth. I truly enjoy Kenneth on this team. His high energy, he had a couple, I think, had an oop right away first thing in the game, had some offensive rebounds right away. His contribution to the team is unprecedented, and the fact that what he's done for us for such a long time. He's a vet on this team, and if anything, I love Kenneth Faried more for his ability to not cause a huge muff about what's been happening lately. If he has any personal feelings, And he kind of dropped some stuff on Instagram about staying strong and thanking Allah for his outlook and staying positive and stuff. But that's great because that's the attitude that he carries in. He's not causing an issue in the team. He's still working with the young guys and showing them lots of love. And a lot of the kids love him on the team. So, shout out to Kenneth Faried for being a true professional on this team and being able to contribute when he gets in. He stays ready, like Terrell Arthur in the Spurs game when he came out starting. Shout out to that. Shout out to the vets who can come play because that's their profession. You know what I mean? We had like a Yusuf Nurkic when Nuggets fans have seen that scenario go wrong in another instance. It's refreshing to see that, hey, somebody can handle themselves as a true professional and a vet. So shout out to Kenneth Faried. Whether, I disagree or agree with my buddy on him and the difference between him and Mason, I think a lot of it's a wash. I say Mason's probably a little bit better on defense. Obviously, Kenneth Faried's a lot better with free throws, not by a whole heck of a lot, but I think a lot of it's a wash. It's just personal preference. I like the physicality and the ability to hang with bigs through Mason Plumlee, but shout out to Kenneth Faried for staying ready and contributing when he gets in. So that was nice. And there's a few times tonight where a couple of the players missed Kenneth on a nice roll. That's one thing Kenneth can do too, is have that gravity going towards the rim with his alley-oops too. And I thought he got missed there. He could have had an even more impactful game had they had hit him. Nikola missed him once, which surprised the crap out of me because he was wide open. Torrey missed him on one, and I believe Emmanuel missed him on another roll at one point. So, like I said, just shout out to Kenneth Faried. Did a great job today. I thought he had a pretty good game. The threes continue to rain down here. The third block on Russell Westbrook came during the second. Something that was contributing to, like I said, not letting him get into the motion, get into his shots and stuff like that. He ended up getting it later in the game, but kept him at bay for 3/4 of the game, which was nice to see. Barton had some excellent plays in this one, some defensive effort, had that help side on Westbrook from Torrey Craig. They were able to block that shot. Followed that up shortly by flying out on Melo, deflected the ball, which led to an outlet pass to Jamal Murray for the 9th three-pointer in the first half. 9th three-pointer in the first half. Nuggets ended with 15 threes. Absolutely fire all game long. It was good to see the spirits were high to Jamal Murray and Will Barton. They were, at the top, and they had that swagger going, that teammate, that bonding, that meshing, and that was good to see that they're able to get past that. There's no hard feelings. To me, it's a sign of a mentally tough team who's ready to go to war with each other. No matter, if they disagree with the shot or agree with the shot or whatever, it's on to the next game, because that's how this league goes. This league doesn't allow you, as I said earlier, it's a short shelf life. This league doesn't allow you to be caught up in your feelings for too long. It's on to the next game. And to see this team progress through two heartbreaking losses, they had, I thought, were both good games during those losses, to come out to another third one on another tough team, finish on another close game, able to connect, and the team was amped. The team was all hyped with each other. That was excellent to see, because they're young. They're a young team that's showing mental maturity on a start early in the beginning of the year. If you remember, I actually had mentioned this during one of my podcasts about Mason Plumlee. He said, what's the valor of this team? What's the, what is the identity of this team? And Mason Plumlee had an excellent response, and that was, you don't know the identity of a team until you go through some rough stuff. Until you're able to battle with the team and come out the other end, how guys act during that time, whether it's for the team, whether it's, hey, get on with it and let's keep playing, whether it's to rebound and to bounce back from tough losses and to, and from rough nights and stuff like that. That's when you find out who you are as a team. And I got to say, I'm proud of this team and excited about this team and how they're able to compose themselves after some really emotional losses and games in general. They're tired, they're tough teams, they're playing down to the bone, and they're able to still put out. And then Jamal Murray put Steven Adams on a gurney. Wow, that was impressive. So let me tell you about my setup, right? I got my TV upstairs. I got my daughter in her room up there. And so my house, it echoes a lot. We don't really have doors. We keep it a nice open floor plan, whatnot, what have you. I literally had to put my hand over my mouth. I don't know if squealing was quite the way to describe it, but it had to be pretty darn close. My wife came out and she's like, "What's going on?" I replayed it 3 different times for her. Jamal Murray broke them ankles. The bone collector. That was, I could watch that all night long. If you didn't see that, if you're just listening to this and you didn't see the game, which I highly doubt it, but if you didn't see that, go look that up. That was absolutely phenomenal. Okay, so from the flashy side, just ridiculous. Everyone lost their crap. Everyone was off the bench. The whole bench lost to somebody, had fell. Reggie Miller, everyone else was just going crazy, right? But from a technical aspect, what a ridiculously smart play. Talking about mental toughness. So Jamal Murray had curled around, started to go to the baseline, had the ball, drove baseline. Steven Adams ended up helping over on the switch, shadowed him all the way out. Jamal Murray dribbled out back to the three-point line, immediately turned around, saw Steven Adams on him, squared up straight to the basket, and got ready to attack. He knew at that moment Steven Adams could not handle his quickness. He knew he was going to be able to get a shot up and went at him. The intelligence of this kid to take advantage of that mismatch. Some other point guards and maybe somebody with less confidence may have just passed it, maybe dribbled in and look for an outside. You could see that Mamba mentality take place. That Jamal Murray, that blue arrow started to grip in, and he just squared him up, danced on him a little bit, hit him with that right, pumped back to the left, and Steven Adams collapsed, hit the ground. Jamal Murray put it out. It was funny. It was cute. My wife said, "Why didn't he bust out the blue arrow?" I said, "Babe, because he was hyped. He was amped on that one." So just from a technical aspect and a smarts, it was a smart, intelligent play. Ended with a little bit of flashiness, but good Lord, Steven Adams, rest in peace, baby. Just stay on the ground on that one. Act like you hurt, like you got a concussion or somebody hit you. Just stay down for a little bit. But it was, I'm not normally a fan for flashiness, but good Lord, that was beautiful. Very, very fun to see. The crowd got very amped up, got rowdy and restless after that. There's a lot of chatter, a lot of people on their feet. It really started. That was one of the points in the game where you can tell this was going to be one heck of a game, and the fans started to get real engaged. So a huge pivotal moment in the game for the Denver Nuggets. But just in general, Jamal Murray, from an offensive standpoint, as an attacker, as a small point guard, his ability in cases just like that to read his situations, he lets the game come to him, doesn't force shots, but takes what he'll give him. He may push the issue and be aggressive, but you don't see him. I would say Will Barton definitely forces a shot. Jamal Murray rarely forces a shot. The young man continues to climb that ladder, and it's that ladder, and it's an amazing ride, ladies and gentlemen. Like I said, please, if you can't enjoy the whole Nuggets, enjoy watching Jamal Murray. This is a rise of somebody who has potential to be very special within this league. He then comes through and follows that up with another dagger for his 18th point in the first half. On 7-11 for his shooting, 4 for 5 from the three-point line. He was just all over the place. There was even twice where he had Russell Westbrook on him, had it pumped him, got him with a nice little head fake, got into the paint and penetrated. Well, and one of those times he did that. He got Westbrook on multiple times with that head fake because you have to respect his shot. But there is one time specifically that really popped off to the screen to me. So he got Westbrook with a little head fake, cut into the lane. He dished it off to Will with a really nice left-handed sling into Will in the corner. Now, Will was wide open. Shooting 30-something% from the three. So not a bad shot. Took the shot, missed it. However, because of the three-point shooting and the attacking in and out, the piece, I almost felt like the Nuggets cloned themselves a little bit from the Spurs game in the way that they were able to go north and south, east and west, cutting in and out, making the defense move. But when the team is hot like that, it's actually really funny how they tend to not settle for the three-point line. When the three-point shot's working for them, they tend to be a lot smarter with it. There's times where they're wide open. Nikola Jokic specifically, at one point, I can remember him having a shot over Russell Westbrook, drove in, and this was later on, I believe it was in the third, drove in, and actually Torrey Craig ended up cleaning it up for him. Nikola missed him on what I thought was going to be another Jokic no-look pass, but ended up missing him, went into Wilson Chandler. Wilson Chandler went in for the drive, missed it, but once again, Torrey Craig was there to clean up that and get that point in there, which was at that time a pivotal moment. But when these guys are hitting from the three, they tend to take advantage of the shot clock, use the shot clock, get in there, multiple different reads in there, and take the best one. And as sometimes with the shot clock starting to expire. And so that's really fun to see. However, like I said, he got it in, he missed a shot. Because of that penetration, everyone's collapsing. The Nuggets, a fantastic offensive rebounding teams in terms of percentage at 28%. The Nuggets are the best offensive rebounding team in the league when you're looking at the advanced analytics and stuff like that. Like I said, 28% of the time, 28% of the rebounds are coming from offensive boards. And so they're a fantastic team like that. And when they can crash and when they can be aggressive to that, people are crashing around the boards and they're able to clean up. Will misses that shot. Nikola grabs it, swings it back on out as opposed to, and I thought this was an excellent point that I believe Kenny made. He said, as a big man, Shaq, you get that rebound underneath, off of a missed shot. You're looking up to the rim. How am I going to pound this in the paint and score? Nikola Jokic, different skill set, can still bang down low with the best of them, but just another level as far as his vision and passing goes. Looks out, sees Jamal Murray wide open at the three-point line. Jamal Murray, dagger, nails another one there. But that all started from penetration. That all started from being aggressive. And to start the process of breaking down the defense by continuing to be aggressive on the offensive end is super important for this team. It was like a hive mentality. They all started eating in and understanding where they were going to be. When the team clicks, they're nasty. The Boston Celtics may have been one of the best offensive showings from this team. Tonight was the most collective way of doing it throughout all quarters, throughout all of them, even though the lull in the third and a little bit in the fourth, it was a hive mentality into what they were doing until they started to go away from letting Nikola orchestrate the offense. Nuggets ended with 72 points in that half. Absolutely ridiculously hot shooting for the Nuggets team. Later in the third, Later on in that third, the Nuggets started to slow off. A couple turnovers early. OKC team start to get their legs under them, start to get a little bit comfortable and acclimated into running around the court in that high altitude. I thought it was really, really funny how TNT was really playing off the altitude and how it's a big advantage. And it is, no doubt, undoubtedly, especially when they talked about it. They made some good points. You fly into Denver, you get acclimated to there, and they have to drive another hour to get to Denver. It definitely has an aspect to it, and it's something that obviously the Nuggets are able to take advantage of, but it's something that you could see in this one. It really seemed, like I said, OKC started getting that. Nuggets were chilling. They came out real slow and kind of laid back in there. The Nuggets followed it up with a shot clock violation. Will had to heave it up from half court, and they were really just the offense really died out. They stopped going to Nikola Jokic every single time, started to drop down to that 50-40% time that Nikola was actually initiating the offense, and really started working around a lot more. And you start to see that, and that's where, like I said, if it's not happening 70-80% of the time where Nikola Jokic is the first pass, if not the next second thing best, this team's doing something wrong. Jamal, however, kept it going. He still continued his shot. He started to get that little flick. And Jamal Murray, when he gets into rhythm and starts to get into that grinder mode, he has this little flick on the shot, and it almost feels as every single shot that he has a ridiculously high potential of going in. So that was really nice. The fourth block on Russell Westbrook came here from Nikola. Harris really started to come alive again after a little bit of quiet in the second, and a little bit of the third. He started to come down, started hitting threes all over the place. And like I said, it really started to get, Nikola into the DHOs. It was DHO after DHO after DHO. If you listen to the Locked On Nuggets podcast, Ida Maris talked about, if Nikola isn't getting that possibility multiple times during the game for a DHO or a pick and roll or whatever he's able to do, the more often times he does that, the higher potential that we're going to get an amazing shot there. So just love that. They continue to roll with that. Paul George, we had no answer for. In 36 minutes, he ended with a ridiculous 43 points, 5 assists, 5 rebounds, 19 for 26 shooting from the field, 2 steals, 5 for 8 from the three-point line. He had himself a heck of a game. We had no answer for him. But like I said, if you're going to cut off one head of the dragon, let it be Russell Westbrook. So did a good job on that one. In the fourth, Kenneth Faried got the start again. He started playing good. Like I said, the minutes and how Malone broke it up was interesting to me. I get it because the game was going so well, and so you're not going to break up that chemistry with the units. But it's in tonight's game where I really start to see Dylan and Logan's point that he's able to get in there and contribute in lots of big ways. Missed him on some more rolls to the basket. Nuggets offense was lulling in this one. It was a little bit rough. Thunder went on 11-4 run around the 8-minute mark. They cut the lead down into 10 points. They were up about 14 at one point, 16 points. Paul George really started kicking in and hitting gear for Oklahoma City. It was also in the fourth when Nikola Jokic gets his triple-double, about the 7-minute mark from Jeremy Grant miss. In 37 minutes, Nikola Jokic ended up with 29 points, 14 points. Oh, I knew what it was, but just looking at it cracks me up. 29 points, 14 assists, 13 rebounds. Good Lord, this kid's just a monster. People, it's amazing watching people talk about how he's really not that good. 11 for 18 from the field, had 2 blocks. That's not going to happen every night. 1 steal, 2 for 5 from the 3-point line, 5 for 6 free throw shooting, ended with a positive 7. And so it was good to see him get that 3rd triple-double of the season and show out on national television. Hopefully start getting some more all-star votes next year. On this, at one point during this quarter, Nuggets were shooting 3 for 11 from the field, and that's when Oklahoma City actually cut it to 8. This is when the game started getting real interesting. I started getting nervous at this point, seeing if the Nuggets were going to be able to execute and finish out this game strong. It was interesting to see how this game played out because the Nuggets are known for having some late game execution, and you could see that with the offensive end rolling out. Just it has to stop at one point. It has to be consistent in 4 quarters. It has to be a ongoing process. Not that the Nuggets, if it's a small complaint, it's that the Nuggets tend to lull out after the half. They tend to slow up, or I don't know if it's the resting or what it is, but they're not a team that shoots out from the gate. It got really rough. 3 for 11, started settling for outside shots, not going in and out, not doing what they were finding success with in the first half. Later on in the fourth, Russell Westbrook started getting hot, started hitting shots all over there, faced up right on Nikola Jokic, hit that, took it in a couple times on some tough finishes right into the bodies of Nikola Jokic, Jamal Murray a couple times, and he started to really contribute on this one. In 39 minutes, he is able to end up with 20 points on not a great game. 21 assists. That's what I'm talking about with Russell Westbrook. Imagine if he has 28 points and 21 assists. This game is absolutely different. That's absurd. 21 assists, 9 rebounds, 7 from 18 from the field. Not the most effective night. 1 block, 2 steals, 2 for 5 from the 3, 100% from the free throw line. Russell Westbrook is just not human. And then we got to see a little flair from Nikola Jokic, a little WWE. Westbrook goes for a hard foul. Nikola Jokic throws him to the ground, and Jokic pops right up again and starts. He almost looks like he's about to go at the ref, but it almost looks like he wants to go stomp out Westbrook real quick. And this isn't the first time these guys have a little bit of quote unquote bad blood. I think they're just high level competitors, and they're not willing to give each other much room for stuff there. But it was funny to see that happen again. A little bit of tension in the air. That was fun to see. Good to see Nikola get a little amped up. I thought there's one time where Nikola Jokic actually set just a heck of a Mason Plumlee-esque screen on Jeremy Grant. Jeremy Grant hit the ground hard. In some instances that won't be called. It's going to be a hard screen, but Nikola popped him coming around. Didn't even see him coming. Nikola popped him on that screen. And one thing I thought when we talked about mental maturity earlier in this podcast, this was another moment where I think Nikola's getting better. It's been noted that Nikola isn't doing his silly fouls, giving up, unnecessary fouls during certain times of the game. And he isn't getting in the ref's face as much either, which I think is crucial and necessary for this kid to be successful, because the way that he was going off, especially earlier in the season, constantly in the ref's face, constantly up and complaining about everything. His body language is so negative as well. There's at one point in a communication class where they talk to you about 70% of what you have to say comes from your body language. And when it's so negative like that and constantly in the ref's face, you saw him get in trouble a few times during the year. So he popped him, called the offensive foul on him. He didn't complain, didn't get upset or mad about it. So I thought he handled that extremely well. And that was another really nice thing to see. Paul George comes with one of the most clutch shots with that nasty step back on Torrey Craig, created a little bit of separation on there and nailed it. Dead hot all game long, especially really started rolling the second half. 14 points in the fourth quarter. The dude was on fire, tied it up nicely for him. And that's it was a game. This is like I said, this is the moments we live for when it's a great game. And when your team can finish out the way Gary Harris did, just beautiful. Gary Harris comes. And I thought it was interesting. It was fun to hear Nikola Jokic in the way that he broke down that play. It was interesting. It gives you an insight on how this kid brain works, on how he's seeing the play breakdown. Go ahead and listen to this real quick. I'm gonna play you a little bit of a snippet from it.
And they play really good defense. They didn't let the guy go on the top. And I think Russell fell asleep. And just Gary slide to the slot and knock down the three. That's probably one of the best assists of my life, probably.
So there you go. Nikola Jokic, the way he's able to see it, remember all that happening at the same point, slung it from across court to Gary Harris, who was wide freaking open. You had Paul George closing out on him while wearing Paul George shoes. Nailed that bucket and just lit. I hopped up, was going crazy. My wife even was watching the game with me tonight. She was hyped as well. So just a phenomenal game and a really good way to end it. Lots of fun, lots of high energy, and hopefully the Nuggets can keep this rolling. This high motion, great play, great team chemistry on there. Just for some end of the game stats, Nuggets ended with 51% shooting from the field on 97 shots, 43 rebounds, 11 turnovers, shot 39% from the 3-point on 15 for 38 shooting, 32 assists, 10 blocks, 48 points in the paint. Got absolutely worked by Oklahoma City in that category. Oklahoma City had 66, but when you got your 3-point shooting, that's going to happen there. So fast break points were almost dead even, 22-23 to the Oklahoma City Thunder. Bench points, Oklahoma City had 41, Nuggets only had 21. Largest lead at the game, 20 points tonight. So the boys showed out. They came to play against a team who currently holds the 5th spot in the West, somebody who's going to be coming down clutch later on. Nuggets currently sit comfortably in the A spot. Portland in 6th, Minnesota 4th, San Antonio 3rd, Houston 2nd, Golden State obviously 1st. So we're gonna get into that. Look for an episode later on, probably later on this week or early next week. We're gonna have some special guests on. I know I mentioned it earlier, but had a little bit of conflict issues and scheduling. But we're gonna get that podcast out where we look a little bit more at the broader scope, especially coming up with some crucial end of the schedule here at the last part of the Denver Nuggets season. So guys, for tonight, I really appreciate your time. Thanks for joining us. Make sure to go leave a rating and review. Follow me at Diggin Derek on Twitter. Follow the team's handle at Diggin Denver. Follow us on Instagram. Make sure to go check out the website, www.diggindenver.com, a podcast for the people, by the people. We appreciate you guys. You guys have a good night. Let's dig in.